text is John 10, 1 through. I'm shifting it to 1 through 11. Huh? Okay. I know, well, I thought about putting it into a top knot. Here we go. Well, oh, nice reference. Prom.
Go ahead, Luke.
You said yes? Go.
Yes.
Okay. Today I was hanging out where I always hang out. Minding my own business, not bothering anyone. And a group of boys who I'd quickly discover were with their rabbi, out of nowhere began talking about me as I sat there. I wanted to interrupt them, but the question they asked was one that I've been asking for a long, long time. And that one that I thought I knew an answer to. They asked, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" It was his answer that I didn't expect. I'd heard so many interpretations before, all resulting in the same condemnation. He said, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God may be displayed in him." What? When? I'm a grown man. God had forsaken me a long time ago. I heard the whispers as a kid that it must have been my parents, something that they had done. I had been cursed and forsaken by God because of something I didn't even do. But the story gets crazier. After saying those words, I hear the rabbi getting closer to me. I hear his feet shuffle. I hear him kneel down next to me, and I hear him spit. Now, it doesn't land on me, so I know I must hit the ground. I hear his hands starting to rub together. And slowly and gently and with such intentionality, he puts this mud in my eyes and begins to rub them. He rubbed the dirt and spit into my eyes and told me something I wanted to believe could make me see and dared not doubt. He said, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam." There was no guarantee given. Nothing to make me believe other than his voice. It was something that he said. It was in his voice. I walked to the pool as he had said, and you wouldn't believe what took place. As the water washed the dirt from my eyes, so too did the blindness fade. I could see. For the first time, I could see. Former friends of mine and others in the village saw this, and they brought me before the very same people who told me so many years ago that it was my parents who had caused my blindness. The fear I once had was gone. I was complete. I was restored. I was not forsaken. They would hear what this man had done, and they would believe too. And then I told them all that had happened. But they didn't believe. They rebuked me. They called me a liar. And they told me that I was filled with sin since birth and told me to leave their sight. They dragged me from the synagogue for all to see and cast me out. I was once again forsaken, and this time I got to experience it all take place with my own two eyes open. John 10. I tell you the truth, the man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate but climbs in by some other way is a thief and a robber. The man who enters by the gate is the shepherd of his sheep. The watchman opened the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him, because they know his voice. But they will not follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but they did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, I tell you the truth, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come so they may have life and have it to the full. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays his life down for the sheep. Jesus is the good shepherd who calls us to imitate him because he knows the sheep, he protects them, he strengthens them, he searches for the lost, and ultimately lays down his life for his sheep to give them life, life to the full. And it is these 5 characteristics of a shepherd that I hope you guys walk away with tonight. The first characteristic of a shepherd is to know one's sheep. The first century context that Jesus spoke to is quite similar to today. A sheep knows one vastly important characteristic of the shepherd. They know one thing, partly because they're stupid. They know their shepherd's voice. They know their shepherd's voice. As most of you know, I'm a full-time student as well as a full-time ultimate frisbee player. I've committed a significant amount of time and energy to the college team called the Lost Boys. And as a captain of this team and someone of a little more age than the typical undergrad, I'm a role model to many of those players. But this last Monday at practice, I slipped. I came to practice stressed and bothered, mostly because of just life's stresses, but also because of even preparing for this sermon. I ended up playing badly and I dropped the disc repeatedly. Feeling justified, I swore and cursed at the disc. I was called out by a teammate of mine, and in my moment of weakness, I gave him a gesture that would not normally be done in a church setting. I had modeled the Christian athlete badly. I no longer aligned my actions and my words with that of which had been and what I had expected from all my other teammates. I had become a hypocrite, and I felt an extreme amount of guilt. Do you know the shepherd? Do you know his voice? Would you recognize it if you heard it? Are you opening his word today? Do you know what would that sound like in your life? For those of you who are already believing, is your voice different than the pervasive culture of our world today? Can people around you see Christ in your words? Or is it swallowed up by the loudness that's around you? Jesus makes 7 declarative I am statements in the Gospel of John. The one that typically gets overlooked is, I am the gate. It's interesting, and it's been argued that in this culture that Jesus was speaking to, sheep pens were often used for multiple sheep owners. And they were big enough that one shepherd would be able to keep watch over these. And the sheep pen gate was oftentimes not an actual gate or a door, but just a small enough opening for where the shepherd could sleep. This allowed the shepherd to be able to look outside the walls for any danger that was coming, as well as continue to show care and compassion among the sheep that were inside. Jesus identifies himself as the gate to align himself as our protection from all the dangers that exist outside. But he also provides the only passage for security to give us that place of nourishment as well as pasture to go in and out. When I was in 3rd grade, my dad and I had a fairly close relationship. And every time he'd get done with work, we'd spend time together doing various things, from playing with Legos to going for walks. And on this particular day, we went for a walk. And we were about a mile away from our house, and we were in the midst of a conversation. a full-size Rottweiler came bounding out of a backyard with full intention of putting my neck in its jaws. I was petrified and frozen with fear. The dog didn't make it any more than about 10 feet before my dad put himself between the dog and me. And he yelled with such authority and booming voice that that dog yelped, turned tail, and ran right back into the house, or the backyard. In my tears, my dad knelt down to me and said he would never let anything hurt me. I never had felt more safe and protected. Are you willing to recognize that you need God's protection? Are you thankful for the protection that God's already given you in your life to this point? For those of you that believe, what is your motivation for serving people? Do you elevate yourself above others for recognition? Do you wound others with your words? Do you use your friends for your own gain? Or do you offer protection and security to those that are around you? As one who protects, Jesus is also one who seeks to strengthen the weak, heal the sick, and bind those who are broken. Jesus himself said early in the Gospel of Mark, he came for the sick, not the healthy. Jesus came for the sick and the broken. And when we pause and reflect, we see that we are sick and we are broken. We see that third characteristic of a shepherd is one who strengthens the flock. This last summer before moving to Chicago for my first year of seminary, I had the privilege of leading my former youth group on a summer mission road trip. We went from Eugene down through Sacramento, into LA, Santa Barbara, back up towards San Francisco. And in San Francisco, we stopped. And while in San Francisco, one of my former students, who was the youngest on the trip, was walking alongside in our small groups. We were in the midst of a conversation, I don't know about what. Our group was about 5 people. And the next moment I see him a good 20 yards ahead. I'm a little worried of where he's going, and I notice that he has gone deliberately over into the middle of the street of this busy intersection to help this older man with his bags. He ended up helping this man with his bags across the street, and by the time our whole group was able to get over there, I'm hearing my 8th grade student inviting this man to dinner with us. I was brought to tears. I watched as this man's smile turned into a grin of joy, and I knew what it was like to seek out the broken. Do you recognize that you are broken, hurt, and sick? Or are you blind to your own sickness? If you're a believer, how often do you consider those in your life who are weak and struggling? Who is in need of strengthening your life, of healing? Who needs binding up because they are broken? Who needs a helping hand while crossing a street and an invitation to a meal? Those in the profession of shepherding have as their main priority their sheep. As such, when one goes missing and is lost, the priority of the shepherd is to find that sheep. It's their livelihood. Every sheep is precious. Every sheep is important. This is the 4th characteristic of a shepherd, and one easily seen in the mission of Jesus. He came to find the lost, and in doing so, bring back the strays. There's one player on our ultimate team who simply doesn't get it. We call him Johnny Tsunami. He's all of 5 feet tall. He's slow. He can't jump. He can't catch, and he can't throw. All these are defining characteristics that make an ultimate player an ultimate player. Yet he's still on our team. He comes back time and time again, and he's a constant struggle for those of us who are captains because we have to figure out what to do with him. And fortunately, throughout this season, the tournaments that we've gone to, he always ends up having an excuse that he can't come, which has really been beneficial to us as captains. But this last weekend, he said, "Luke, I can come to this weekend." And sure enough, we showed up Saturday morning. And as I struggled through all Saturday's tournament, trying to find him playing time, I recognized that this was just not working. He didn't really belong. And Sunday morning came, and that night before he had told me, Luke, I don't think I'm going to be able to come. My hip flexor hurts. He had kind of complained of an injury. I thought, good. I'll have to deal with him. 5 a.m. Sunday morning, as we're getting in the parking lot, getting ready to leave, one of the other captains is on the phone calling Johnny Tsunami. And I'm hearing him call him saying, John, you got to be coming. You got to come. And I just wanted to say, no, Pete, get off the phone. I don't want John to come. But in that moment, I realized that Pete was being Christ to John, and that John did belong. Are you lost? Do you know what it even means to be lost and then to be found? Are you following the right voice in life? Do you know what the voice of the Good Shepherd sounds like? Would you recognize it? Or are you listening to something or someone else? For those of you who believe, are you searching for the lost? Are you looking to bring the lost and the strays back into the fold? Or are you focused on yourself? And are you searching for those who no one else is looking for? The final characteristic of a shepherd is one that goes beyond the typical understanding and exceeds the expectations of a typical shepherd. The last characteristic is that a shepherd puts their life ahead of and before their sheep. This goes against regular understanding because the shepherd's life should be more important. You lose the shepherd, the sheep have no one. But here Jesus shows that ultimately for the shepherd to love their sheep, they must be willing to die for them. There is no other better illustration than Jesus himself. I have no story to share besides Jesus himself. Jesus came to this world as our good shepherd, and after knowing us by name, protecting us from the enemy, healing us of our sickness and lameness, and finding us because we are lost, he ultimately put his life down and died for us. For you. So that we might believe in him and have life to the full, life to abundance. Do you know this story? Have you heard it? Do you know that Christ came and put his life down for yours? Do you know that he did this so that you too may have life? Life in abundance, life eternal? For those of you who do, who have heard this story, are you willing to give your life back to him? Are you willing to follow Christ to the cross and give your life back to him so that others may see him? Are you willing to be like the Good Shepherd? To grow up rejected was something I'd lived with. But now to have sight and remain a person cast out of the synagogue, it was too much. The place where I'd finally been able to feel connected to God and wanted to be there for so long, the place where one could be close to him, it was taken away. I slowly walked back to that very same place that man Jesus had healed me. I stared down at the dirt that he had made mud with. Was seeing worth the price I now had to pay? Couldn't I just go back to being the way I was? I'm not sure how he found out, but Jesus heard of what had taken place, and he came and found me. He came and found me on the ground, broken and hurting and crying. He knelt down next to me and he gazed into my eyes and he asked, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" I pondered this only for a moment. I knew what he was asking me if I believed. I tried to dodge the question, but Jesus smiled at me and said, "You have now seen him. You have now seen him. And he is the one speaking to you now." I could not contain the response resounding in my soul. As he helped me to my feet, I declared, "Lord, I do believe." I hope that you too will see and believe in the Good Shepherd. Amen.